We learned last week that storied radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh had died of stage 4 cancer at the age of 70. The death of cancer, of course, is not at all like it's a thing that happens to a lot of Americans. And so that aspect of it, I definitely empathize with. That being said, Rush Limbaugh is one of the worst people in American politics. And his death is, at the very least, amusing, especially because it happened during Black History Month. Shout out Bam. It's something we got to like shout out for here once and another. But like, it's the main aspect that like Rush Limbaugh, not only was he a constant source of the worst kind of rhetoric that was spewed in like Republican spheres and circles, not only was he the source of that, but he paved a path for Republican talk radio and then Republican TV cable news, and then which led to the Republican alternative media internet space, where you talk day in and day out, scaremonger about the brown people, talk about socialism and how it's gonna like ruin and it's gonna take away your regular jobs. Give yourself some smug sense of satisfaction over the guns that you own and call that a show and make your entire career make millions and millions of dollars grifting onto people who hold onto your every word when people who know Rush Limbaugh in person says that he's just a radio host. He barely cares about any of the stuff anyways. I'm going to go into some of the worst quotes before I go in because I think that'll kind of set the tone. So you can just Google Rush Limbaugh quotes, and Google actually has a little thing for you, which I think is cute. So we'll start there. But there was one that is, feminism was established to allow unattractive women easier access to the mainstream. That's a quote there. Poverty is not the root cause of crime. If you commit a crime, you're guilty. And he was like a very one of those tough on crime people who was not exactly singing the same tone when he was caught with a bag full of OxyContin trying to go to a Latin American country for the weekend. People don't believe me when that happened. That totally happens. When referring to black people, Rush Limbaugh said, among other things, quote, "They're only 12% of the population. Who the hell cares? The NAACP should have riot rehearsal. They should get a liquor store and practice robberies." There's just like a number of different like horrible things that are said there. Look, let me put it to you this way. The NFL all too often looks like a game between the Bloods and the Crips without any weapons. There, I said it. You have the whole thing with Sandra Fluke, who is just a woman in college who was speaking about making sure that women had more access to reproductive like health services. Really like stuff that wasn't even that far reaching. Rush Limbaugh then decided to respond to that very like normal sort of like assessment of what the needs were at the time by calling the woman who talked about these things a quote slut and saying that the government should pay for her being promiscuous in society and then like weirdly making this a weird thing about him. This was Rush Limbaugh day in and day out. And it's a similar thing we talked to in other aspects of this episode where Republicans had many opportunities to say, oh, Rush Limbaugh's kind of gone a little bit far here. I don't know if I want to like really like put my hand on this as a Republican and say this is part of my party. But no, the Republican base loved this stuff. The Republican officials started running on these kinds of things that Rush Limbaugh said. It led them to power. They got addicted to power. And there are many different webs and things you could do to draw to Donald Trump. But Rush Limbaugh is definitely one of them. But not just Donald Trump. It's like Fox News. It's Ben Shapiro. It's Tucker Carlson. It's PragerU. It's Newsmax. It's OANN. It's all of them. It can all kind of lead back to Rush Limbaugh being the godfather of all this like hatred kind of talk radio, I think. So hearing that he's dead, fuck him, is my opinion. But I want to know if anyone else has something a little bit more, I guess, somber to say, or maybe more measured than what I would say. I'm totally open to that.
Well, I think one thing is people like my age, they don't understand of how big Rush Limbaugh was back in the day. Like he was the biggest dude in radio, and radio, especially in the 90s, was your go-to for a lot of political stuff. So he's reaching influence on a sphere of people was huge. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that because, you know, those past 10 years, he's slowly gone downhill a bit and whatnot, especially with his health and all that jazz. But the stuff that he said was so influential and stuff that it was really push into Republican spheres. So then a lot of those lawmakers started to listen unto and say, "Hey, I'm listening to Rush Limbaugh, Brit Hume, whatever it is." That would then be put into politics into America. So there's a lot of his like anti-immigrant rhetoric, a lot of his stuff like he was make fun of people with AIDS, and he would like laugh on people who would die of AIDS.
Literally.
So many just despicable shit that he would do that I think a lot of people now weren't aware of that he did back in the day. So good riddance, fuck you, and yeah, that's all I got to say on him.
Yeah, I think for me, when I saw the headline, I looked at my phone, I was like, huh, and that was what I allowed myself. And then the thing is, I consider myself a very empathetic, sympathetic person, whatever, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm not happy that a person who disparaged so many people is gone, that he's not hurting people anymore. He hurt people deliberately, intentionally, and he profited off of it. And he spread this like shitty influence for decades, and it's like what Sean was saying. I don't think people realize how long he's been around and how influential he has been. And I've always said, even, with Donald Trump, I've never wished him dead, but I just want them to go away, Unfortunately, a lot of them won't go away until they die, So it's like, when Trump got COVID, everybody was just kind of quietly waiting to see what happened, but we all knew what everyone was thinking, And it's like, I want you to go away. I don't want you to die. I would never wish death on anyone, but you're not going to go away. I'm just going to wait and see what happens, So that's how I feel about that guy.
I'm smoking on that Rush Limbaugh pack. Cancer wiped his nose. I don't give a damn. I got nothing for you, buddy. He wouldn't give a damn if I died.
That's facts, dog. That's absolute facts. Keep going, dude. That's true.
I'm smoking on that pack. On that pack. This dude called them women. I think it was the Syracuse basketball, the women's basketball team. I think it was Syracuse. He called them nappy-headed hoes.
No way, that was him. I always remember that quote.
Yeah, that was
holy
him.
Shit, dude.
Okay, you know what's one of the worst things? To this day, I don't understand this. I don't know why this happened, but they brought Rush Limbaugh on the Breakfast Club not that long ago. You literally got Charlemagne and all of them talking to Rush Limbaugh. I couldn't believe it. And he was running circles around them, kind of. They don't really know about like they don't really know about him like that. So like they didn't really know what to expect. But I was like, what on earth? Like, why are you having Rush Limbaugh on here? This is one of the worst people that is like the everlasting catalyst for racism and hate in this country. Like everything bad that we complain about a certain demographic, like why they can't stop thinking this way. Rush Limbaugh is part of that reason. He's the one that keeps pushing these narratives and making these people think that it's all immigrants' fault. It's all because of feminazis and whatever. Like it's literally Rush Limbaugh. The only credit I could give him is that he would do a show by himself and he would be going hard for hours. Like that's kind of impressive. But you're just spewing hate and lies, so it's like not that impressive. But like
he's a showman. He's good. He knows the craft.
That much. But like he's not intelligent. He wasn't some like genius. Oh, he knew how to. No, he just got up there and spewed lies and hate. I'm smoking on that pack. I could give a damn. Let me find out where he's buried. I will show up. And nobody's scared of Rush Limbaugh's ghost.
Before we go any further, Sean or Caesar? Anyone down for the taking on that? Caesar especially, I guess.
I came to this country in '96. And from that day on, it's been fuck Rush Limbaugh, so I'm good. From the day I landed, I was like, fuck that.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. He's...
Sean, he's German. He's German. Rush Limbaugh is German.
Rest in discomfort.
So is Henry Kissinger. So, like...
Yeah.
You
might be giving him a pass. Who knows?
I didn't give nobody no passes. No.
one point I have, not to like go all soliloquy Dan here again, but like I'll say that there were a bunch of like fake crocodile tears from conservatives at this time who are like, if you ever want to know how liberals really feel, look at their reaction to when someone on the right dies. Or all the mourning saying Rush Limbaugh was a hero to the conservative movement, the way he said all these racially horrible things about black people without uttering the hard R on air, actually. It was such an art. I'm so amazed he was actually able to pull that off. They were floundering him and pulling him in all this sort of like worship that was going on Twitter. And they were all of a sudden looking and saying, oh, the liberals and the left want unity and they want to unite the country. Well, this isn't the way to do it. To be moderately amused at the death of one of the worst people, rhetorically speaking, in American media today. Like, I'm totally, like, as for an individual person, what you do and how you view, like, the deaths of even, like, the worst people or even the best people, that's how you view that, and that's totally fine. And Twitter's gonna be, like, a bunch of people's views interacting with each other's in real time. But one thing to point out is that these are the same people who, for the past 4 years, have defended Trump's rhetoric, calling Mexicans rapists, horrible actions and like kind of mischaracterizations of violence and sexual misconduct and all these different things that Trump just like kind of let slide and Republicans were totally fine with allowing to happen. Like, these are the same people who are now trying to do this moralistic game with the left and saying that, oh, you can't talk about or can't be like moderately critical about someone's life while they're dead. You can't even do that, let alone celebrate it. As if these people wouldn't do the same. People who knew Rush Limbaugh kind of personally or like outside the radio world knew that like he's an entertainer. He's doing this as like a gimmick. It's his show. It's just like the kind of thing he does. And like, I guess, again, it goes back to something we said earlier in the podcast, which is I don't believe that someone's humanity is like a game or something you can argue disagreement about. Making fun of someone getting AIDS in a serious way. Like, not only did Rush Limbaugh do that, Michael Savage then did that on MSNBC and got fired for it famously. Making fun of people for like getting AIDS for being gay, like it's a choice, like that kind of thing. It's not just like someone who's watching that who falls into one of those communities gets hurt or gets offended by that. Like, I don't care, don't give a damn. It's that other people then start to believe and internalize these things and believe it's okay, and that becomes part of their worldview, and they start to vote that way. And that is, knowing that that's the reality, knowing that that's the pipeline that happens, and knowing that there's so much going on in the world as like not a lot of optimism going on. Yes, I will take this little moment, this little like 4 hours of Twitter trends and go, this is kind of funny to me. This is hilarious. This is some sort of like vengeance, at least in some sort of cosmic tale kind of way of what's going on. Not everyone has to feel that way, but if someone is doing that, just mind your business is basically what I would say.
Well, and then what did they do when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died? You know, it was the same thing. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg never talked shit about everyone, you know? So she never personally offended every minority group that was around, you know? So whatever. I'm not going to take moral advice from these people. They're not going to make me feel guilty about who I am as a person.
But are you smoking on that pack, though?
Am I allowed to say something wild?
A little
bit. Caesar, go ahead.
Yes, Caesar, go ahead.
Can I say something wild?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it was just a late birthday gift, you know?
Oh my God. That was
for you.
Happy belated birthday.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, America. Thank you, Rush Limbaugh. Appreciate that, big homie.
Now stop asking for reparations. That's all you get.
Oh damn.
This Black History Month was the Gorilla Glue Girl and Rush Limbaugh dying. That's what we're gonna remember it as.
Oh
God. Dan, you've gone too far.
I probably have. Yeah, absolutely. This has been
Jeez,
Power
man.
Report. I've thoroughly offended everyone listening and participating in this experience, which means I've done my job thoroughly well.